Greetings, beloved hearts of love's eternal presence. I, Lady Nada, greet you again through this Ascended Master broadcast. A reminder, as there are a few of us, ascended and free, with the name Nada. Know that it is I, Lady Nada, Princess of the Fifth Golden Age upon your earth, some 2 million years ago, who gained my own freedom in the Ascension when I returned to the earth some 800 years before Jesus Christ came to your planet. Beloved of Akasha and a Son's family of love, as I am given the opportunity to greet each of you again today, I so desire, with the request and permission of beloved Mother Akasha, to speak into a matter that will provide you some understanding of what may be slowing down your own freedom to everything you desire and everything you could possibly require, that is given to all of us by the great authority of the individualized I Am God presence, commonly known as the Higher Self. Now, of course, as I bring this to your attention, I will bring this in a way that speaks into it in a more severe manner, that you can have the contrast, the full understanding, and then you can measure your own selves as to what lesser degree this yet may be acting in your own lives. And I might as well put out there immediately, so that you can begin to breathe into this, that the result of sharing this with you is to create in yourselves the necessity of finishing and holding the purification of your magnetic, emotional side of life. Let us begin. Now, I desire you to understand it is the continuous discord or disturbance in the emotional body that creates the human quality called stubbornness. It is stubbornness that creates a defiance of the great love for perfection. It is stubbornness that is the emotion that is behind the imbalance of mental activity. In today's world, we are seeing a growing number of people with some kind of mental imbalance in varying degrees. Sometimes the imbalance is so severe it can lead to insanity. Yet I say to you, there is no insanity without stubbornness and defiance. Stubbornness is the direct line to mental imbalance. And you'd better know this now, because it is the last thing that really stands in the emotional body that keeps you from experiencing your emotional body's ability to create a concentration of the pressure of the divine qualities and elements that abide in the feeling body that are necessary for the manifestation of your home, of your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And stubbornness in the emotional body silences the very quality that I, Nada, represent, that being inspiration. Now be very clear, dear hearts. It is the continuous discord and disturbance in the emotional body that becomes the emotional body's lack of protection, in which discordant energies from the outer world get into people's emotional bodies. There is a force in the world created by human selfishness That force builds in the atmosphere of the earth, and it builds into what we simply call a sinister force that too often destructive individuals are trying to use to control the world their way. Know that a certain amount of discord and disturbance in the emotional body is required to affect the scales of reason. Now, what I'm really speaking to you today is how the faculty of reason, a wonderful, sound, reasoning mind, is affected in the presence of stubbornness. There are too many people, too many destructive people now in your world who are coming together, using their wealth or power to try to control the world, even your world, the way they desire to. And fear, disturbance, and discordance in the emotional bodies at a worldwide scale is what they desire to achieve. And to some degree, these ones are being successful. We see it out in the world, and it is very important that you have the understanding so that you know the steps to take and how to keep yourself safe and protected. Now, out of this, what do we see? What do we see who are watching your third dimension? We see an alarming increase of insanity in which individuals affected are experiencing mental imbalance. Why? Let me emphasize the continued buildup, the generation of discord and disturbance within the feeling body actually generates defiance and stubbornness. The energy of stubbornness and defiance in the feeling body then finds its way into a person's mental body. And this upsets the reasoning faculty until there is a real mental imbalance in those faculties. If the reasoning faculty is upset, is imbalanced, then people cannot think clearly, they cannot think for themselves, they require others to think for them. And if they require others to think for them, then they must become subservient to those who will think for them and ultimately seek to control them. A little research on your part, dear hearts, and you will observe a growing number of individuals whose faculties of reason have become so imbalanced. These ones often make their way to large cities for purposes that it is not my desire to speak into today. So let me be very clear with you, precious hearts. It is stubbornness and defiance in the emotional body that causes the faculties of reason to become imbalanced. It is the accumulation of discord and disturbance in the emotional body that creates this stubbornness and defiance. The more severity the defiance and stubbornness in the emotional body, and this makes its way into one's mental body, the more severe the imbalance of reason, creating that condition of mental disturbance, which in the most severe cases can even lead to insanity. It is vital that all of you who are spiritually growing now and seeking various levels and forms of enlightenment, that you come to understand these matters. And perhaps when you see on the streets or in life experience, you see those individuals, that it is obvious there is a mental imbalance, that you might consider calling to the angels of God's violet, loving, purifying flames, and ask an angel to attend those individuals to clear their minds and emotional bodies of everything that is causing the mental imbalance. Now, once that condition has been created in a person, and the individual loses what you can understand is control of their mental faculties, then their mental body becomes open, unfortunately, to the many destructive thought forms that are in the Earth's atmosphere. And these ones become pawns of this sinister force that is in the world, that then seeks to control them. And then sometimes you see these individuals acting out crimes and as hideous as mass shootings. So it is these combined activities which create the conditions in which individuals begin to experience some form of mental imbalance that have begun to unfold in their minds. Now, due to the nature of this sharing, for each of you who are listening, I call in and around each of you now our violet flame protection and purification. Now, dear hearts, realize that there is in your world a sinister force that has worked through government officials, even unknown to them, to influence a decision to release these ones who experience mental imbalance and put them out on the streets, rather than place them in facilities where they may be treated and assisted. You can now see this in some of your city streets. You see individuals whose faculties of reason are obviously affected to some degree of severity. So let's move beyond this now, and let's be very, very clear with ourselves. It is the energy, the quality, human quality of defiance. It is stubbornness that finds its way into one's mental body. This leads to the faculty of reason becoming imbalanced. Now, for those who are clearly impacted in this way, they may have anywhere from a 40 to 60% imbalance of their reasoning faculties. Yet for you, dear hearts, your own faculties of reason are not yet perfectly balanced. They are perhaps approximately 90% balanced. And so you have enough sanity in your minds. You have enough reason that is taking place in your thinking process, yet clearly your power to have your calls fulfilled more quickly, your power to manifest things in your life more quickly, is yet being interfered with some activity in the mind and the emotional side of life. And certainly, you can have those days where you can experience some confusion. Now, for most of you, these are things of the past now. Yet it is important to be enlightened of these things and to take care of yourselves, and to have the compassion for those who you see who are suffering some form of mental imbalance. We never judge, and we ask you not to judge. And certainly there is that awakening process of the higher knowledge. And as you discover this knowledge, the knowledge that you're studying, well, as you study enough of it, it just makes so much sense to you. Well, why isn't that higher sense coming to you naturally, on its own? Why do you have to study? Everyone who has ever studied the higher knowledge has faced this, because part of your reasoning faculty is not yet in 100% balance. So all upon the earth have a very slight variation, if you will, of the scales of reason in terms of approaching being fully balanced. And realize that once they are fully balanced, you all have natural access to your own incoming higher intelligence. And so, dear hearts, I wish you to walk away from my sharing today being very clear. It is stubbornness in the feeling body, which is really a defiance to loving perfection. It is stubbornness in the feeling body, which is really a defiance to loving God, loving life. It is this that affects the reasoning faculty of the mind, the mental body, and ultimately prevents the mind being completely free of the temporary hypnotic spell that holds one in a belief in good and evil. Now, all of you, dear hearts, have what I call traces, some very small amounts of stubbornness and defiance that can show up on any given day. And I would not say that there is a tremendous amount, yet there may be human moments where you move into a place of temporary stubbornness. I hope that from today that you will be willing to consider this, to examine this, and willing to work with God's violet purifying flame to take any defiance or stubbornness energy out of you if it happens to show up. So whatever it is that you may find yourself being stubborn about, understand, precious hearts, stubbornness is nothing to be proud of. Let us not mistake determination for stubbornness, or stubbornness for determination. Again, I say to you, whatever it is that you may find within yourself, when yourself may become stubborn about something, understand, precious hearts, there is nothing to be proud of regarding stubbornness. Stubbornness will create some imbalance in the faculty of reason and in your thinking processes. And if I was you, I would employ the violet purifying flame for 10 minutes, 3 to 4 days dedicated, calling upon your presence, an angel of the violet flame, and the violet flame to take whatever defiance, whatever stubbornness may yet exist in your emotional bodies, even if it's only traces of it, to take it right out of your emotional body so that you can enjoy your total balanced faculties of reason. And you want this balance. You desire your reasoning faculties to be as balanced as possible, not only for clear thinking, for it is in the perfectly balanced reasoning faculties, the scales of justice, that your mind then opens up to your higher discerning mind. And secondly, dear hearts, it is to realize, those of you who are studying Mother Akasha's Tree of Life classes, yet to realize that Mother Akasha has yet to have wonderful conversations and discourses with you about your magnificent light bodies and cosmic light patterns between your mental body and your light body, and how you consciously access your light body at will. And certainly, you must realize that included in this conversation will be regarding the magnetic force, the creation material of the feeling side of life, and how this connects with what you have come to understand as the elementals, the powers of nature, or, as I love that term, Mother Nature, in which you have, in your own ability to hold a picture, use your imagination and hold an image in your mind long enough for that picture to be clothed to receive the concentration of qualities and elementals in your feeling side of life that are the same elementals of Mother Nature that is in your own Earth's atmosphere and other kingdoms of life upon your Earth too. If you are to one day master the laws of manifestation, you require a balanced mind and a balanced feeling side of life. I know from a recent conversation with Mother Akasha that she wishes to advance you in your understanding and access of your light bodies, cosmic light patterns that exist between your mental body and your light body, and advance your knowledge of what exists in your feeling body, not only the 144 qualities of love, also the very elements required for manifestation, those same elements that exist within the powers of nature. Now, I know this is within Mother Akasha's dispensation. She cannot teach you about the light and the light body without also taking the knowledge that you have of your feeling body and scaling that upwards, scaling that knowledge upwards and understanding how what you understand as Mother Nature actually exists in your own feeling body. And how when you hold an image, when you decree a thing, and I certainly hope that by now each of you recognize the importance that as you decree something, that you must have some kind of image of what it is that you're decreeing, or at least focus your attention upon an image, a picture. If you don't have an image of it, well, let me tell you, that image exists whether you are seeing it or not. If there's any imbalance in the reasoning faculty, you may not see it. You're just not conscious of it, and therefore you are not allowing your feeling side of life to work with it. And so too, not only what you shall decree, it is what you are invited to desire in your life. Everything, precious hearts, must have your personal will. Everything you decree, everything you desire, everything you require, everything that you wish to create and have in your life, that is to be new, that you don't presently have now. Things you wish to bring forth must have an image, whether you set it as a desire, a goal, All your goals ought to come from your desires into your decrees too, so that when you decree a thing, immediately the image is there, so that the image is being held then, transferred to your feeling side of life as well, so that when your attention is upon what you desire and decree, there is a condensation process taking place in your feeling body, which that pattern of energy, that image, is being clothed with the qualities of the mother element, qualities of divine love. Perhaps you have not considered that what exists in Mother Nature, which is the gathering of the great elementals, is what is equally your experience of the other great kingdoms of life upon your planet. Well, I do not believe that there is anything in your planet that is referred to as Father Nature. You can speak of your physical son as Father Nature, and you know that your feeling body is the feminine side of life, and so will you not reasonably conclude with me that what is out in nature, in which the elements come together, that same nature is also in your feeling body? And that is your own internal Mother Nature, in which you are given an opportunity to desire and require what you will, what you internalize, and when you know what that is, you ought to have a clear picture of it. If you don't have a clear picture of it, then you ought to look within yourselves and ask what part of yourself is not standing forward with you, and hoping and deciding and choosing what you desire for your life. What part of yourself is holding back and not quite ready to have what you ought to have and are ready to have? This process is a given natural process. You don't have to make it happen. The process of manifestation, all the elements are there. You just have to cooperate with them. It's a part of your nature that when you are thinking, and those thought patterns are coming together, and when you're finished thinking, those thought patterns ought to have formed an image that you can clearly see. This is actually done for you. This is an automatic effect of thinking and feeling. And then it is for you to give your attention long enough to the things you want, the things you desire and require. It is your right to command it, to decree it. And once you've seen the image that your thoughts and feelings have created, it's your responsibility to hold that image for a few moments in your own internal Mother Nature, your own internal elemental side of your feeling side of life. To hold that desire image in your feeling body, where the nature of the elements in your feeling body can begin the great coalescing, the great condensing of her elements upon your thought pattern, your feeling pattern, that have formed an image, and begin to give them the loving elementals from your feeling side of life that are required for manifestation in your life experience. You are the most blessed ones, all of you wakening upon the earth at this time, who have waited through this historical divine plan that has been more than 15,000 years in preparation, in making, to initiate another golden age upon your planet which has begun. I know that it has been a long journey, and I wish each of you to appreciate that I too, even though I left the earth prior to you, yet I too am part of this divine plan. And of course, there are efforts that I made in our own fifth golden age in Arabia, when my parents began calling forth through a divine dispensation. They began calling forth the great unfed God flames into all our sacred temples, all our houses of worship. Well, we did not have at that time, we did not have the sacred fire as an authority in the atmosphere to strengthen the people. We did not have the violet flame age that is now upon your earth. We did not have access to the precious violet purifying flame that is now initiated by the great Master Germain. This had not yet begun in the fifth golden age. Rather, we were provided a divine intervention to place the mighty unfed flames of God, the great love flames, in our temples, with the desire that as our people would come into the temples, and they would face and stand in the radiation of those mighty flames, that this loving radiation would go into our people and be strong enough and be anchored within them to give them the strength and encouragement to eventually turn within, do the spiritual work, and grow this mighty flame of love within themselves. Now this ought to tie in, dear hearts, to the great new knowledge that Mother Akasha is giving you in her Tree of Life class. Because in this, we were very aware that we were not working with our people's bodies. We were very aware that we were introducing into the atmosphere of their minds, their feelings, and to a very lesser degree, the atmosphere of their physical cells, the radiation of God's unfed flame. We were very aware that we were not working with their light bodies, yet it ought to have been enough, because we were given the great authority under the great mighty Elohim Orion, who used his authority to place the great flames of God in all our temples and houses of worship. The radiation of that is such a magnetic and electronic presence, it should have been enough to raise our people to their freedom. Rather than taking the time, as we taught them, to grow this great God flame within themselves, they enjoyed too much. They enjoyed the loving radiance of those flames that were placed in all our temples of worship. And they enjoyed the wonderful lives they came to live as a result of that radiation. Now, what was it? What was it? I have certainly thought about this. What was it? You certainly understand. This is 2 million years ago, and I have had 2 million years to contemplate what went wrong. Why did it not take hold? When the radiation of God's flame is right in front of you, and you are standing within 18 inches of it, the radiation of that flame ought to be such an impact that it is growing the light right through you and taking out of you what never ought to have been there in the first place. So what stood in the way? Why did only limited numbers of our people take their freedom? Why did the great majority of our people go down in the loss of our great continent of Arabia at the end of the fifth golden age. Why did our people not rise to their freedom? I will tell you, precious hearts, stubbornness. It was the stubbornness that was rooted in the deep, deep magnetic fields of their feeling body that just would not let go. And that stubbornness became a quality acting in their minds that did not allow the loving radiation of our God flames to enter into their minds. Yet it was enough. All those great God flames of God did was strengthen to some degree the reasoning faculties of their mind, enough so that they could live the good lives that they had been given. But it was not enough for them to rise up and try to do this for themselves. And so whatever existed in the emotional body, in their emotional bodies, was not being affected. Yet the atmosphere of the emotional side of life was receiving some of the sunshine of our radiance. And that helped everything. It helped steady our people. It's like being out in a raging storm in a boat, and you're out in the ocean, and there's a raging storm, and the great waves of water are affected, and by some force that comes along, it holds the boat steady amidst the raging waves of a storm. The boat is held steady and safe. That is what our great God flames in Arabia did for our people. It held them steady enough to have a good life. So that's what happened. The great light, the radiance of the unfed flames of God that we were given by mighty Orion into our temples, what it did was hold steady the storm in our people's own feeling body. And it gave the reasoning faculty in their minds enough light to be balanced so that our people had a good life. Yet because it did not enter deep inside, where there is the power and the conviction and the great qualities that are given to every life form, out of which those qualities lead and guide and directs an individual to make decisions for themselves, it is this that didn't happen. The few of our people who made the effort won their freedom. However, the most did not, and once again lost their lives at the end of our fifth golden age. Yet, precious hearts, life is generous. You know, from a human point of view, we saw this as a great failure. We saw this as a great disappointment of what was to be our fifth golden age. Yet, to the great cosmic beings of light, to God's point of view, it was a great success. For if there is one who gains their freedom in the ascension, it is seen as a success. And of course, my parents gained their ascension at the end of that great age, before the fall was allowed to come. And there were the few that had grown the unfed flame within themselves that took to their ascension. And I was given the opportunity, yet in my own moment of resurrection, I was shown that there would be a service that I could yet perform by coming back to the earth. And I did so some 800 years ago, and I applied myself, I gained my freedom in the ascension, and now I return to you, an ascended master, seeking to help the people of earth. So for myself to be addressing those of you here, to see the mighty unfed flame of God's source burning so brightly within your hearts, it is of such joy, it is of such excitement, it is of such certainty that I know each of you will come home to your great essential self, that all of you were so long ago in this embodiment, have been given, that each of you would remain on the earth in service to this new civilization that is coming in. And it is all so certain for us due to the efforts that you have made in your lives. And I just say this so that you understand the great joy that we have of seeing the mighty flame of love that burns brightly within your heart, of seeing the accomplishments that you've made, of seeing how close your own higher minds and soul has been drawn to you with the assistance of Mother Akasha, and to see how at this time that the higher mental bodies of you is now drawing into, is now reaching up to the great causal body of your presence, that great circle of colors around your God self, and beginning to draw forth great attainment of past lives, beginning to draw forth the plans of the ascended host that have been placed there, the plans of your own higher Christ mind, the plans of Sanat Kumara, who came from Venus, who initiated all of this, and the rest of us in the ascended host who are united. We have all these plans that have abided within our octave for thousands of years, and all these plans for the seventh golden age, for your resurrection, for your freedom, they have all been transferred over to the causal body, which is the great circle of colors that you see around your beloved God presence, your higher self. And to see how the higher mind of each of you is reaching up and drawing those divine plans, completing the transfer of that into your own feeling body. It brings us so much joy. And it is why it is so important to bring to you the attention of stubbornness and defiance, urging you to call upon God's violet purifying flame and the angels to remove the last of it out of you. And well, I just breathe, absolutely, I just breathe my joy and my inspiration into all of this. And I know that some of you know of my gift, which is inspiration. So I just breathe my heart flame into my gift of life, and I wish to extend it to each of you. I know I've offered it before, yet we will just offer and offer and offer again as much as you want to breathe in to accept Lady Nada's flame of inspiration as that which I can direct to you upon Mother Akasha's rose-pink ray, and allow that to come forth. In this case, I would invite what your mind considers a blending of my own heart flame of inspiration into your feelings, into your heart, and into your own heart's unfed flame, so that the blending of my flame of inspiration can become that which you breathe and expand into your earthly lives. So today, may I leave this impression that what I have asked you to do in bringing this information to your attention. And may you, as you enter into the violet love flames each day, may you rise into the authority that is yours and command that any defiance to love, which is a defiance to perfection, which is truly stubbornness, that this be taken out of you so that you may enjoy the sound faculties of reason, and so that the atmosphere, and please hold close to this, so that the atmosphere in your emotional body can be cleared so that as you hold the image of what you desire, realize you are holding that in your feeling body. And if stubbornness and defiance no longer exists in the feeling body, because those from a human point of view are the most powerful human forces that slow the emotional body down and prevents what you are trying to hold the image of from enjoying the purity of your own inner Mother Nature, the elemental side of your feeling body. So this is just good God encouragement, precious hearts. It ought to be enough. The desire to love the source of your existence, the desire to love God, the desire to love perfection, and the desire to have good, sound, reasoning mind faculties. That ought to be enough, with the understanding that I have shared with you today, to command your freedom from all stubbornness and defiance through the violet flame purification of your emotional bodies. Yet I say to you, dear hearts, the purification of the emotional garment of the defiance energy and the stubbornness energy, that purification through the violet flame, this will give you so much automatic assistance if you will go at it this way that I encourage you to. And that is over a period of, let's say, up to even 14 days. When you take yourself into the violet flame, using one of the violet flame mantras, make sure you have taken 1 minute and talk to your presence. Talk to yourself. Talk to the violet flame. That you wish your freedom from any stubbornness and any defiance energy that may be acting in your emotional body. Really take a minute, dear hearts, and talk to the violet flame. That there is no part of you that wishes to hold on to defiant energy or the energy of stubbornness. And talk to that beloved violet flame to take that out of you, that you are finished with it. You have no use for it. It does not serve you. And call the love and the mercy and the forgiveness of the precious violet flame to come into the energy of defiance, the energy of stubbornness, to take that out of you. And you know how to do this, dear hearts. Ask that its cause, effect, record, and memory be taken right out of your being, and to hold the purification of your feeling body in place, so that from this time forward, as you make decisions, as you think, as you form conclusions, as you decree a thing, as you desire something, realize all of these things that you desire and require, they all must have an image. If you have some difficulty using the power of imagination, then go find some magazines that have images of what you desire to bring forth, and cut those out and get yourself a scrapbook and put those images in those scrapbooks so that you can look for the optic eye can register that image and then carry it into the emotional body that way. Now, beloved hearts, if an image doesn't spring to mind, and I want you to be clear that this process of thinking and feeling and co-creation includes that your thoughts, feelings ought to naturally create for you an image. And if that image isn't springing forth in your mind, then there is some obstacle in the mental body. And what is probably that obstacle is that faculty of reason may be just slightly imbalanced in that area. And where's the imbalance coming from? Well, I've just illumined you today. Defiance or stubbornness energy. You can see how the one leads back to the other. So let's be very clear. Let's say to ourselves that which is the wonderful gift of thinking, feeling, making decisions, decreeing, deciding, desiring. Let's say to ourselves, what I desire, in deciding what I desire and require, knowing what I wish to create, to manifest, all of these processes of thought and feelings always produce images. And the ideal is that these images spring forth. They appear in your mind. And if they're not appearing, then there may be a slight imbalance in the reasoning faculty, and that imbalance again is coming from the age-old defiance and stubbornness that is being held in the feeling side of life. You may not even be aware as to what degree it is. It may be there that it's a leftover from childhood, adolescence. You may only be aware of it acting up when something triggers you. So, say to me, all right, Nada, I am going into the violet flame, and I am surrendering any defiance. I wish to be free of the energy of defiance and stubbornness. Beloved Nada, be with me and my presence and my angels of the sacred fire. Help me to remember this. Now, beloved hearts, any of us who are ascended and free, we don't have to be specialists in the violet purifying flame. I am ascended. I am quite capable of intensifying the violet purifying flame through any area that you wish. It is my prerogative, if you call to me. Or you can call to the great Master Germain. Definitely call to an angel of the violet flame to attend you. I am an ascended being. I have that authority, and I can, if you ask me, I can use my ascended will to help you increase your desire, to have a greater desire, to be free of stubbornness, to be free of any defiance to love. I can so inspire you if you remember to call me. And ask yourself, is there in me that which wants to hold on to stubbornness? Am I really ready to let go of the energy of defiance? Do I wish really to be free of these human qualities? Do I understand that these human emotions have become an obstacle to experiencing a sound, reasonable mind? Do I understand that these emotions have slowed down my own creative manifestation process? Do I realize this enough? Is my desire to be free of these strong enough? Or do I wish to really declare in my being, I desire, I not only desire, I command that my earthly self be free of all stubbornness and defiance. This is not an energy that serves me. I am grateful for this greater understanding today, and I command my freedom from those energies. So talk to yourself about this, precious hearts. Amplify the desire process. Register within yourself that you truly wish to be free of these things. And say to yourself, all right, I understand now. I do know that there are those things that are somehow impacting the fulfillment of my calls, the fulfillment of all that I desire. Certainly, something is slowing down the creative manifestation process. So, beloved hearts, let's move into all of this in the most positive way possible. That you may understand this process. I am truly grateful. I will later decree, as I get on with my own day here, Lady Nada, I will decree in my day that what I have shared with you will become real in terms of your determination of what you choose to be free of, and your freedom to use the light your freedom to have a sound and reasonable mind, and to be free in your emotional body of the defiance and stubbornness energy, which not only creates an imbalance in mind, creates imbalance in the emotional body, and the emotional body's ability to instantly coalesce, condense the nature, the elements of your feeling side upon the images of what you desire for projection into your fields of manifestation. I shall decree that all of you shall perceive and all of you shall succeed. I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. And it is from my temple that I extend the warmest greetings of inspiration to each of you. Adonai, Adonai, Adonai.